Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of West Coast Commander. Today we have a deck tech. I'm here, my name's Wedge, and I'm here with Darian, and aka Hans, and he's going to be talking to us about Urza Powered Scepter and Urza Polytyrant. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. We're doing a deck tech, so I'm doing awesome.
Fantastic. Okay, cool. So let's just jump right in. So let's just first talk about like where kind of Urza sits in the greater like competitive meta, like how what's it trying to do, what's its what kind of archetype does it fit into, that kind of stuff.
So we are an infinite mana deck, and in that vein, we are a very grindy deck. We are trying to get to like a mid game or like a late game. In late game for cEDH is still pretty early, but we're trying to get there, and we're trying to go off with infinite mana and use Urza as an outlet, and go for the win from there.
Cool. So so that infinite mana, how are you guys getting infinite mana? What are the main combos?
So the main one that's the tried and true, we're doing the Scepter Dramatic Reversal combo, where you're imprinting Dramatic Reversal, and then having positive mana rocks at the amount of 3, and then you go infinite.
Cool.
And then it doesn't matter the color of the rock. Urza's outlet is colorless.
All right, awesome, easy.
Yep.
And what's the next one?
Next one on the list is probably very old school. We're going to the Grim Monolith and Powered Artifact route.
Cool.
Definitely a blue only route. We're just trying. This is another one. Power is a little bit of a dead card, but it's a concession we make for another combo that seems to run really well with the deck.
Okay, cool. So so once you obtain infinite mana, you're going to activate Urza's 5 mana ability, which is the Temporal Aperture thing, where you essentially exile a card and you get to cast until end of turn for free.
Yeah.
So that's for the Urza Powered Scepter. There's also like a slight offshoot to Urza.
There's
the Urza Polytyrant.
So especially when Paradox Engine got banned, a lot of people had like a shift where they wanted to still find like the 1-card tutor for like a combo. And so like the idea of if you don't run creatures in your deck, besides Urza as your commander, you can run 1 Tide Spout, and then you're going to polymorph the construct into the Tide Spout. And then you need to have a 1 mana spell that you can play and a way to bounce mana positive rocks. So like 0 mana rocks or
turns out you have a lot of those.
And Urza gives you all those rocks. So it's definitely one of the better ones to use for Tide Spout.
Okay, cool. So so you have multiple ways to obtain infinite mana. So now what are your outlets for the deck?
So
once you have infinite mana, how do you win?
So this is close to a win conless deck, and in that way that it tries to loop the deck with twister loops.
Okay.
The actual win con in the deck that's easy to explain is the Codex Shredder.
All right.
And the Codex Shredder, pretty much you're untapping it with the Scepter and Dramatic, and then you're milling people out. But Gitrog is a deck, and there is shuffle effects in the meta. So you run your Stax pieces, and then you can make 2 Scepters with a Copy Artifact and a Scepter, and use Swan Songs, and make Infinite Birds.
Easy peasy. Okay.
Pass the turn around, and then the other win con quickly is just Narset, and you wheel them out. And if you can play your deck infinitely, which you can in the deck, you can just pretty much like wheel them out, and they 1 card at a time until they die.
All right, awesome. Okay, so we've talked about how Urza is going to win the game, but now let's talk about like Urza itself. What makes Urza like really like unique? Like what sets it apart from other mono blue commander? What sets it apart from other commanders in the format in general?
I feel like the fact that it works so well with artifacts is just paramount in its strategy, and it brings together like a pillar of competitive EDH.
Okay.
And that is like artifacts are good in competitive EDH, and Urza makes them better.
Okay, awesome.
The non-parity, the main thing is it's non-parity with like all the Stax pieces. Those are like Static Orb and Winter Orb are the 2 premier ones. Those pretty much make it so that you do not have to deal with effects. On their end step, you just tap them down with Urza for a blue mana, and you're good to go. You don't have to tap anything.
So we're talking about Static Orb and Winter Orb specifically, right? Yeah. Those cards are a house in Urza, and it's kind of like one of the main kind of like draws and allures to wanting to play the commander.
Every single competitive Urza deck should be Static Orb, Winter Orb, full stop. So it's definitely, you definitely want to be playing them. Okay, awesome.
All right, so we talked about what makes Urza like special, but let's talk about like the core, the skeleton of the deck.
Okay.
So I think probably the best way to like summarize Urza is it's a deck with it's got interaction. We've got tutors, card selection, mana ramp, and then probably and hate pieces.
Yeah.
And engines. So let's kind of talk about a little bit about those. Which one would you like to talk about first?
We can go over like rocks and acceleration.
Sounds good.
So as a pillar of any like high-end EDH deck,
Yeah.
you want rocks to support your strategy because you need to ramp out into the mid game, and you want to play Urza as quickly as possible. So we're playing all like the basic, like the pretty much everybody tries to run these rocks kind of thing. They're mostly all positive. They help with your game plan. Copy artifact. If you don't have that rock, they might have it. So there you go. Some of the more notable pieces that are pretty much specific to blue or specific to Urza, we have Sapphire Medallion, which is insane with Urza. You can get it out, and then you play Urza. It's like double dipping because you're tapping it also for mana and one less. So it's your best rock with Urza out.
Very nice.
Then pretty much Jeweled Amulet. It's a Mox Sapphire, but it's also not. But you can use it to ramp with blue, which is important to get Urza out quicker. And then Everflowing Chalice, it's a Mox Sapphire or it's a ramp piece to Urza early, which sometimes you definitely need to do. Yeah,
so with these like kind of lesser known artifacts and stuff like that, you're looking to just play whatever that you can that'll allow you to get like a turn 2 or turn 3 Urza.
Yeah, you definitely want to try and advance to Urza because it enables a lot of your game plans, so you just want to get it out and it helps you a lot. And the construct is no joke. It's very big. Yeah. It's very dangerous. It hurts a lot of play styles. It makes everyone go, oh, especially ad nauseam players. Last one is High Tide. This one's an inclusion. Some people are on it, some people are off it. I'm on it. I think it's great with some of the other cards I have in the deck, like Mystic Sanctuary and like quite a few. It just helps the mid-game strategy so much, and you can push, especially with like different wheel effects, like everyone's favorites.
Oh, like Time Spiral does. Time Spiral with High Tide, the classic.
You can try and win off that. It's definitely a game plan card that is also, I think it also shines in the Poly Tidespout deck, because sometimes I've actually hard cast Tidespout for the win.
Very nice.
Off of that. So
yeah, I really do like the idea of as like a Stormy type player myself. I like to play High Tide, or I like to play Rituals in general to help power out my big mana engines. And I think like in a deck with Urza where you don't have access to the greatest like card advantage engines, being able to power like a Factor Fiction early or a Recurring Insight or even a Dig Through Time or anything like that or a Factor Fiction can be really, really great. All right, cool. So that was all the mana acceleration. Let's talk about the tutors. There's probably not much to really say about them.
No, there's nothing really of note. You're running all the pretty much all the artifact tutors that exist in all the formats that you can get yourself.
So like Reshape, Transmute Artifact.
Yeah, this one's maybe some people don't run Transmute Artifact, but it gets it into play. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's like other than that, the classics, Okay. And then
Tezzeret seems pretty unique here.
Tezzeret is definitely just close to mono blue. It's very hungry, but the fact that you can get pieces into play and then not have
multiple as well.
Yeah, multiple. It's a very annoying. And then there's the fringe cases of using the -5, but very fringe. Very fringe.
Right.
Intuition's in here too, but we get all the tutors we can get. And there's better lines with Intuition when you run like a Mystic Sanctuary. There's also better lines when you run other recursions. So.
All right. Okay, so that seems about handle tutors. Let's talk about your interaction suite. So it looks like you kind of are running a lot of the staple counterspells.
Yeah. I'll just move these that are not. So pretty much you're running all the blue counterspells that you can get your hands on. That you can all the all-stars, like the forces, both forces, negation and will, Flusterstorm, Spell Pierce, all of them. It is important to note that Urza can suffer from losing in the early game sometimes because you need to get to the mid game. So cheaper counterspells are very important. So you want to make sure you kind of prioritize those cheap
So that's why you're running, so you're on stuff like spells.
Dispel and stuff like that. I know some people are hesitant to play them, but if you play in like with some of the highest, like I guess powered decks, you need to make it to that mid game. That's your strategy. So you need to get there. So
Got it. And I would say probably the most unique of the counterspells that you're playing at the moment is probably going to be Muddle of Mixture.
Yeah, Muddle is you could argue it's one of your best tutor pieces as well. So it's just definitely, sometimes you're just looking for it because it enables you to grab cards that normally you can't grab.
Okay.
Like it's not, most of your tutors are an artifact, and it doesn't have to be an artifact. It grabs pretty much Dramatic Reversal. It can grab the power artifact combo. It can grab so much. It can grab Stax pieces.
That's really cool. I didn't notice that Muddle Mixture can grab any of the 4 combo pieces. That's really nice.
It's a tutor that grabs anything that you want to progress your game plan pretty much outside of a polymorph. But even then, you should be trying to go for those over the polymorph sometimes anyway, especially the Dramatic Scepter. Okay. It's a little more robust.
And then I guess the next section I probably want to talk about is going to be like your card advantage engines. I noticed that Urza spins its wheels a lot, and it trying to gain and accrue card advantage seems to be something that it really wants to do. And so let's talk a little bit about those.
So the card advantage engines are very important in Urza because we can't run black. Yeah. So the main issue with that is that makes it so that we can't always get what we want. So we're gonna have to grind. So one of the main pieces that's unique to Urza that deserves the most explanation is Trail of Evidence.
Trail of Evidence, so sweet.
This is where you're making the, you have to, when you have this in an opening hand, you kind of have to play around it. You need to understand that you need to keep up interaction and other stuff to generate that advantage. Those clue tokens, though, can be a huge asset for ramping, for card draw. It just produces a lot to the table. It's really like, the best way to explain it, which others have explained it better than me, is that it pretty much is like a delayed cost reduce for your spells going forward, and that is really good because it's not symmetrical.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And then let's talk a little bit about some of the other card advantage engines. And card advantage that you have in the deck.
So we've got Recurring Insight, which is pretty much our version of Ad Naz. Not as good, but it's still very good.
Oh yeah, Recurring Insight's amazing in mono blue. Yeah.
You should be drawing at least probably like 7 to 10 cards every time with it.
Yep.
Just alone, that's like the minimum. Dig Through Time, because even though some people don't like it, it's still a mid-range card that sometimes you need it. We don't have the advantage of tutoring whatever we want, so we have to dig. Mystic Remore is an auto-include.
Yep.
Fact is for more card draw.
Yep.
Ristic is an auto-include.
Yep.
And then we have our wheel effects, which are all advance our game plan, and then some work really well with High Tide.
You because you're playing a fast mana deck. It's really common to just be like vomit your hand of fast mana, play a wheel, and then you end up throwing off everyone's mulligans, and you end up
It's definitely like
advantage.
There's a lot of gameplay decisions based on this. Like this is a game plan. Like wheeling can be a game plan, especially with Urza, where you get so many rocks in play. You can exercise a lot off of wheels.
Yep. Especially the next section we're going to talk about, which is hate pieces.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the wheels, and the other premier pieces in the deck are you have Winter Orb and Static Orb, but then you also have Narset.
Let me find that.
And she's somewhere in here.
She's somewhere in there.
But that's
she
fine.
exists.
She exists. But Narset, Parter of Veils, obviously she's a great hate piece in mono blue. Stops card draw, but then also combos with your wheels.
Yeah, it's really important to realize that like a lot of the games will come down to if you can resolve a Narset and a wheel, the game is over because you're just stripped everyone of their whole hands and you pretty much have such an advantageous board state. Most people can't interact at that point. Okay, that's pretty much it. So yeah. The other hate pieces we already went over. The auto includes the one that's unique to the deck that I run, and maybe some of you other players do run, is Tanglewire.
Tanglewire is amazing.
I found it was amazing. Every game that I've managed to stick it, especially in the early game and even in the mid game, it is just so strong at pushing you into that mid game at an advantageous position. The fact that like you can get there, and it also is a mana piece for you, so it's even feels like you have less of a burden in Urza. It's just even less than normal, and that's huge.
Yeah, I really like that. It just like as you said, Urza wants to get into the mid-late game, and like Tanglewire is like that way to almost practically guarantee that becomes a reality.
Yeah, and then like there's a lot of spice with like I've had games where I can bounce it and replay it, and people just are completely shut out, especially like mana-centric decks. But even in non-mana-centric, I mean they're gonna have to tap lands. So back to basics. Now this card is insane. If we could tutor it, we would.
Yeah.
If we could tutor it a lot, we would.
Yeah, that card is great. The meta is like is mostly 4 and 5 color decks. And then any other deck is usually like a Tainted Pact land base, so they're running 1 to 2 basics.
Yeah, and Tainted Pact even got just better, so it's even stronger now. It's just you play it and you can shut down a game and you just win with the grind.
Yep, sounds good. Okay, so we covered your hate pieces, we covered your engines. I guess the last bit is just gonna be your card selection, or like your cantrips and such like that.
Oh yeah, we're just running like a Sensei's Top. It's just really strong in Urza. It just is a complete value piece. It also can help you win with Polytyrant, and it's got a lot of other. It has a win con with Future Sight and Ethereal Sculptor if you run UPS.
And you got the staple 4 right here.
The staple best. Then the ones of inclusion are Mishra's Bauble. You're on Urza, so it's not much concession. It's a mid-game Mock Sapphire, and it's also like a cantrippy kind of card. You can look at your top, don't like it, shuffle it away with like a shuffle effect, fetch. And then Witching Well has been really good.
I like that inclusion, by the way.
In the mid game, it's like definitely a replace for other cantrips. It's definitely better than Opt, I feel like, and it's definitely better than Sleight of Hand. It just does a lot of things you want, and it smooths out the early game, great in the mid game, and in the late game, it's just card draw, which is something usually we need.
Next is just our land base. I'm pretty sure this might be pretty quick for you, being a monocolor deck.
Yeah. So like my include is a little more blue than some of the others. You just have your standard all the fetches you can get. Okay. Because that combos well with top and other effects like Mystic Sanctuary.
Oh yeah, Mystic Sanctuary.
That's the one I was talking about.
That's a new inclusion.
It's a new one. Some people don't like it. I love it. I love Mystic Sanctuary. I think that it's right at home in this deck.
It seems to add a lot.
Yeah, it adds a lot of lines of play that like people wouldn't see. Like I've cast High Tide twice with it to enable like big kind of stormy turns. I've used it to recur different kinds of interaction or tutors.
Okay.
It has a lot of uses, and even like the fact that in the mid game all of your fetch lands are so strong
just turns it on.
It's very good. It just you're better in the mid game, and you want to be in the mid game.
Okay. But otherwise,
Tomb.
Yeah, you're running Ancient Tomb, and you're mostly a primarily island, like basic.
Oh yeah, this is I think there's like 19 islands or 18 depending on how I'm running it.
Okay.
Inventor's Fair tutor piece.
Yep.
This is of note. Urza players should be on it because I feel like it's just another way. We don't run so the early game. You want to run a certain amount of rocks to get Urza out early, but like we don't statistically run as many rocks as even like if you don't consider after Urza, we don't run as many mana rocks as like even like a Zur or something like that. Like,
so this is another tool to help you get Urza out
to try and get to that
turn 3.
to get to that guaranteed percentage of getting that Urza out. Oh, there's our secret little Narset.
There she is.
Okay. Academy Ruins, it's not great. It makes you feel bad, but it's got redundancy and it allows you for lines of play. But a lot of the time it just feels bad, but it's in there as a safety net.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's almost free to run.
Seat is the only other one of note, and that's like a pet card for me. I could definitely, in metas, there Artifact Hatred, don't run it. Other than that, I like it because you can sack it to other things, enables Metalcraft.
All right.
But yeah.
And then just basic islands.
Yeah.
All right.
I forgot the other quick ones of note that I'm not running right now, but I run sometimes. Blast Zone. I was just off it because mana hungry and dork heavy metas.
And
Tabernacle.
Yep. Good hate piece.
Yeah. It's not necessary, but it's super strong. Like it's super strong when you get it out. If it's in that meta.
Got it.
Right.
Okay. So we've covered up the core of the deck. So I guess let's talk about like some of the like the meta cards, some of the meta choices that you would probably play in Urza. Like how would you like a Polytyrant for instance. So like what's the difference in the packages between the UPS or the Powered Scepter and the
I'll move these to the
and
side
the
so you can see. So like the main UPS list, the difference is over here. You can see like a Gilded Drake, Spellseeker, Future Sight. The Future Sight, some people do run it in the Polytyrant deck, but I just thought it was. I take it out.
So what you're saying is, so if you're playing the Polytyrant deck, you sacrifice all of, you have the deck building concession of not playing additional creatures because you're only running Tidespout Tyrant as your sole creature.
So yeah, in my opinion, the main reasons, the best creatures in Urza are Spellseeker and Gilded Drake, followed by Ethereum Sculptor for enabling like explosive turns. Spellskite comes up a little behind that, but it has like great
utility
plays as well and utility. But like the concession is 3 cards, and then if you don't run those 3 cards, you can run a Polytyrant.
Yeah, but then also in addition, you can't run. You have a confliction with Grafdigger's Cage as well.
Yeah, so like I don't like running Grafdigger's Cage in the Poly build. You're pretty much replacing the Tormod's Crypt. It's not as good as Grafdigger's Cage, but it'll actually hit like Gitrog a little better.
Okay, and it synergizes with the Tidespout.
Yeah, and then in the Polymorph build, you kind of want to be a little more lean to the ground because if you have a lot of mana late game, you can go for Proteus Staff and win. So you don't need as much. If you have a lot of mana, Future Sight's not probably your best option. You just want to try and win. But the main difference is that you're running a lot like some more cheap Cantropy kind of stuff that bounce for Polymorph, and of course you're running Polymorph. And I don't like it. You run Staff, but Staff might get cut, but it's still good enough in late game that you can use it, or you can use it as like a Doomsday effect. And if you have a lot of mana, you can just win off of that.
Okay, I've seen in some lists that I've seen more of the Polytyrant lists. They seem to go without the Proteus stuff, and they just focus just on the Polymorph.
Yeah, I would say it's the weakest piece. It's in there just for like a redundant kind of thing, and I could see anyone taking it out.
It seems a bit mana intensive.
It is very, and then the Ether Spellbomb is like a meta choice, and I run it with because it's pretty good with the Polytyrant. You can use it as any 1 mana rocks are pretty good with the bouncing effects back and forth. It makes it easier.
So it looks like, just kind of like to boil it down, is Polytyrant trades off card quality in exchange for an additional win con.
Yeah.
But doesn't seem to be like a dramatic. But we're not like,
It's the thing is that like you can theoretically tutor for 1 card and go off with that 1 card if you have like that's why the personal tutor is included as well. Like you can theoretically, if you tutor for Polymorph or tutor for Proteus Staff, it's part of a 1 tutor plan versus like a multi-tutor plan or like a more drawing plan.
That makes sense. Okay, I can see that there's like good pluses and minuses to each. All right, so I think we covered about the whole like both decks, and I guess at this point we're just kind of down to like unique picks and meta considerations at this point. Anything of note that you kind of want to talk about?
I guess I'll just first go over one win con that I didn't quick throw in as the Future Sight.
Oh yeah, Future Sight.
Because it wasn't in there for originally, but like in UPS, definitely the Future Sight, Ethereum Sculptor plus top, you draw your whole deck and you win. Some people run Psy in combination with that, but Psy's been pretty off for me.
Okay.
It's very hard. As much as you want to run artifacts, you don't usually want to play into the Psy strategy of like barfing out a lot of artifacts, and that sometimes you just don't have them, so it's just sitting there, and it's a 3-mana investment that's just sitting there.
Okay.
You're more likely to hit stuff with the your other advantage engine.
Yeah.
Trail of Evidence. You just have more condensed instance sorceries, stuff like that.
Yeah.
For like first thing I'll go into like meta consideration, some enchants.
Okay, cool.
We got the Variety Circle, Legacies of Lore, and Steel Enchant.
All right.
Variety Circle is definitely for creature-heavy dork metas.
Yes.
It can be really good then, but you're not always guaranteed to play against a lot of them. Sometimes even if only one person has them, it may not be enough. But it's very good if your meta has a ton of mana dorks.
Okay.
It's definitely Legacies of Lore against creature-centric decks
or commander-centric strategies.
Oh yeah. Steel Enchantment. It's a meta choice, but it's actually becoming more and more of a main.
I love that
kind of choice, and I bring it in all the time. I think in UPS, when I switch to UPS, I always put it in.
All right.
It's so strong because stealing someone else's advantage engine, which there's 3 other players at the table.
Yeah.
One of them should get an advantage engine out.
Yeah,
There's
you're going to see a
many
Sylvan Library or a Remora or a Rhystic Study. You're going to see or Carpet.
You can even see like Necropotences from like people trying to play like the Consultations and they're just trying to grind, and you're forcing them to deal with it. So it's insanely good.
It's like a great tempo piece.
Yeah. Other like a few other Stax pieces that like some people like running them. I just don't run them because I think I have enough. Storage Matrix, good against dork decks more than anything.
Yeah.
To tap down stuff. Trinisphere, good against stormy kind of lists.
Yeah.
It just depends on your meta.
I think like one thing that a lot of people have this misconception is people try to play Stax for the sake of playing Stax. And that like Urza doesn't run a lot of hate pieces, but the ones it does are very asymmetrical and very powerful. And I think it runs these hate pieces because it can't afford to run. It doesn't have the ability to run like the huge card advantage engines that other colors or multicolored decks can do. Like a Sylvan Library or a Smothering Tithe and such like that. So like it makes sense that like if you look at Storage Matrix and you compare it to Variety Circle, I'd rather draw more cards than try to like tap out some dorks or something.
Yeah, I definitely say like the main region where Storage Matrix shines is that you can tutor it, but you're not always wanting to tutor it. It's just very specific.
Right.
The other like pieces that you can run that are all like very acceptable, like they're just like negate,
alternate counterspells,
and
interaction.
Negate.
Yeah, negate's a great
if
card.
Like the Hulk life is your life that you're fighting.
Yep, if we're in the Fish Hulk.
Stifle or or Oracle life, and then Submerge is definitely not float around as much, but it can be very strong too.
Yeah,
if you play it against the right people.
I really do like Submerge in like against like Gitrog Monster and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely against Gitrog. It's just such a huge. It's like you have to understand you're putting them back a draw too if they don't put it into their command zone, and then it's better in a way. Yeah, that's my Urza deck.
All right, awesome. Well, hey, thanks for talking about your deck today, and this was West Coast Commander. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.